guys, so today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting integers. Now, in order to begin that conversation, the first thing we need to do is make sure we understand a few words. So one of the first words I want to make sure you understand is integers. So integers are the set of whole numbers and their opposites, and zero. So if you look at this number line I have here, which you know goes on infinitely in both directions, both in the positive direction and in the negative direction, you'll see that I've indicated all the integers. So all the whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on, and all their opposites, so -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, again, on, and then also 0. So I've indicated here, just from -5 to 5, integers. Now we know that there are numbers in between 1 and 2, for example, 1.5, 1 3/4, 1.8, but those aren't integers. So right now we're only talking about integers. So those are the numbers I've indicated on this number line. All right, now that we've talked about what integers are, let's talk a little bit about what their opposites are. So opposites are two numbers that are the same distance from 0 on the number line, but in opposite directions. So for example, 3 and -3 are opposites because they're both they're both 1, 2, 3 steps away from 0. That one's obvious. Let's double check the -3, 1, 2, 3 steps. So they're both 3 steps away from 0, and that is why they're referred to as opposites. Okay, we've got one more vocabulary word that we need to make sure we understand before we start adding and subtracting integers, and that's absolute value. So absolute value is a number's distance from 0 on the number line. You'll notice when we looked at our opposites, -3 and +3, they were both 3 steps from 0 on the number line. So the way I write absolute value is I write the number, the integer, inside 2 vertical lines. So in this here indicates that I want the absolute value of 3. Well, the absolute value, again, is the number of steps from 0 on a number line. So in this case, +3 is 1, 2, 3 steps from 0 on the number line. So its absolute value is 3. Now if I do the same problem, but with a -3, the absolute value of -3 is also 3 steps. 1, 2, 3 steps away from 0. So you'll notice that the absolute value of opposites is always first a positive number, because distance needs to be referred to as a positive number, but also that it's the same. So for example, if I had 4, let's see, the absolute value of 4, that you'll see, let's use blue here so we can see it on here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps away from 0. So the absolute value of 4 is 4. If I were to do the absolute value of -4, that itself is also 1, 2, 3, 4 steps away from 0. So again, my answer is +4. Now you can do absolute value without needing a number line, just by knowing that it's the positive distance something is from 0. So for example, if I had the number -17 in absolute value, I know that's 17 steps away from 0. So its answer is going to be +17. This number will always be positive. All right, now that we know what integers are, what opposites are, and what absolute value is, now we can go ahead and start adding and subtracting integers. Let's start adding integers that have the same sign. So for example, 4 plus 7. Hopefully most of you can do this by now, 4 plus 7, and you know the answer to be 11. You're simply taking the two numbers and adding them up. Now, if you have two negative numbers, as long as they're both negative, you can add them kind of in the same way by taking the numbers 4 and 7, adding it up, and getting 11. And then look back because they both had a negative sign. So that means that their answer is going to have a negative sign. We could do problems also with different signs. It's just a little bit harder. So if we look at this one, I've got -4, excuse me, and +7. In order to do this kind of problem, I need to think about absolute values. in order to think about the absolute values, I'm going to put both of them in absolute value notation. So -4 becomes 4, and the 7 becomes 7. And now I simply find their difference. So 7 minus 4 equals 3. That's the first step. The second step is to double check which number is bigger. So since the 7 is bigger in this case, and since the 7 was a positive integer, then the answer will be a positive integer. If I go to the next problem, kind of the same idea. Let's find the absolute value of each. The absolute value of 4 is 4. The absolute value of 7 is 7. I'm going to find the difference between the two again. So 7 minus 4 equals 3. But this time I'm going to look and see that the bigger number is negative. So I'm going to take that negative sign and put it right onto my answer. All right, I think we've learned quite a bit for today. I want you to take some time and answer the questions online. Thank you.